Two broken hearts stayed silent for too long, until silence became the only thing left holding their unfinished love together. Ayaan had spent 3 years in New York trying to outrun a memory that refused to loosen its grip, the memory of Elara, the girl whose silence once felt like home until it became the quietest kind of goodbye. Life in the city moved fast, full of neon lights, crowded subways, and a loneliness that felt louder at night. He shared a small apartment in Queens with his cousin Nevin, who knew everything except the reason Ayaan never looked at anyone the way he once looked at her. Elara lived far away now, in the small fog-covered village of Windmore, where days moved slowly and nights whispered the ache of waiting. Their story had ended without a reason, without closure, without a final conversation. Just two people holding onto their pride like it was worth more than their love. On a rainy evening, Ayaan opened an old email draft he had written to Elara years ago, the words unfinished. "I'm sorry I wasn't what you needed." His fingers hovered above the keyboard, trembling with every memory of the promises they once made, the places they once stood, the laughter that used to echo between them like something sacred. Back in Windmore, Elara kept a small notebook hidden under her bed, filled with words she never sent, lines about the boy who once held her heart so gently she thought he would never let it slip. She often walked along the riverbank where the mist clung to her skin and made everything feel softer, sadder, almost bearable. The river had witnessed their first confession, their first fight, their first almost ending. Their friend Leora, who had watched them fall apart piece by piece, kept telling her that love didn't vanish just because people did. But Elara was tired of believing in things that hurt. One night, while New York buzzed with life outside his window, Ayaan replayed their last conversation, the moment when everything cracked. She had said, "If you want to go, then go." But her voice had trembled in the way that meant she wanted him to stay. He had walked out, not because he wanted to leave, but because he didn't know how to stay when he felt like he was constantly failing her. And now, years later, the emptiness between them felt like an entire world, one that neither of them knew how to cross. But fate always finds the people who try to hide from their hearts. Ayaan received a message from Leora, brought, trembling, unexpected. "Elara isn't okay. She still waits for answers you never gave." The message shattered him. Every wall he had built in New York collapsed under the weight of those words. Nevin noticed the change before Ayaan could hide it. The way his cousin stared at the same spot on the floor, the way his breath trembled like he had been holding pain in his chest for too long. "Go to her," Nevin said quietly. "Some people aren't meant to be forgotten, no matter how far you run." And for the first time in years, Ayaan allowed himself to hope, dangerously, painfully, beautifully. Ayaan reached Windmore under a sky heavy with unfallen rain, the kind of sky that feels like it's holding its breath. The village looked smaller than he remembered, quieter, but painfully familiar. His footsteps echoed on the narrow stone paths as he searched for Elara, each corner waking an old memory he had tried to bury. Elara, unaware of his arrival, sat in the empty old library, her refuge, tracing her fingers over a book they once read together. Leora found Ayaan first, shock softening into something deeper, something bittersweet. "You're late," she whispered, but maybe not too late. She guided him toward the library, but with each step his heart pounded harder, terrified of seeing the hurt he left behind. Elara looked up the moment he entered, her breath catching as if someone pulled the air from the room. For a heartbeat, neither spoke. Years of unsaid words pressed between them like a storm waiting to break. Ayaan stepped forward, his voice barely holding steady. "Elara, I'm sorry." 2 words, late, fragile, necessary. She stood slowly, her eyes filling with a recognition she wished she didn't still feel. "Why now?" she asked, her voice cracking. "Why after all this time?" He swallowed the ache, because I never stopped loving you. I just stopped believing I deserved you." Her tears fell before she could stop them. "You left when I needed you the most." Ayyaan's voice shook. "I know, and I've carried that mistake like a weight I couldn't drop." Silence again, painful, heavy, intimate. Leora quietly stepped out, sensing the moment was theirs alone. Ayaan reached into his coat and pulled out the old email draft, printed on a folded paper, worn at the edges. "I wrote this years ago," he whispered, "but I never sent it because I was afraid it wasn't enough." Elara unfolded it with trembling hands. Her eyes ran over the words he once couldn't finish. When she looked up, her voice was soft, breaking, hopeful and hurting all at once. "Ayaan, we can't go back to who we were." His heart cracked at the truth of it. "Then maybe we can start from who we are now." She closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I don't know how to trust you again." "Then let me earn it." He breathed. She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped closer and placed her forehead gently against his, the way she used to when she wasn't ready to speak but wanted him close. And in that moment, fragile, incomplete, trembling, they both knew the truth. Some loves don't heal all at once. Some take time, some take courage, and some remain unfinished yet still alive, waiting for two broken hearts to choose each other against. Lowly, painfully, beautifully. Windmore stayed silent around them as Ayaan wrapped his arms around her, not in triumph, but in apology. Elara didn't say she forgave him, and he didn't ask her to. They simply stood there, two people holding on to the first fragile thread of something they once lost but never stopped wanting. Their story was far from fixed, far from perfect, far from complete. But for the first time in years, it wasn't ending. It was beginning again in the softest, saddest, most human way.